They called her nothing, no name, no rank, no future in the Crimson Ridge Pack. But when the Alpha King arrived for the execution, his golden eyes found hers in the crowd, and the most powerful wolf in the realm spoke a single word that shattered everything. Mine. The morning frost clung to the execution platform like crystallized tears, each surface glazed with ice that would soon be stained red. In the Crimson Ridge territory, where the mountains met the endless northern forests, the pack had gathered in the central courtyard to witness what they called justice. She stood at the very back, behind even the youngest pups, her head bowed beneath a tattered gray hood. No one spoke to her, no one looked at her. She was nothing, the pack's nameless omega, lower than the servants, less than the dogs that guarded the borders. 23 winters she had survived without a name, answering only to sharp commands. You there, Omega, or simply a snapped finger pointing at whatever filth needed cleaning. Move aside, nothing, growled Beta Thorn, shoving past her to get a better view. She stumbled but caught herself silently. Making noise would only earn her a beating later. The execution platform dominated the courtyard's center, where Alpha Roderick stood with his chest puffed out, silver beard gleaming in the weak morning sunday. Beside him knelt a young wolf she didn't recognize, barely more than a pup, perhaps 16 winters, with sandy brown hair matted with blood. This rogue, Alpha Roderick announced, his voice carrying across the assembled pack, was caught hunting on our lands. The Siomaras. The Siomaras. The friend, and Wasiv. The Siomaras. The friend, the Siomaras. The friend helped, the friend helped. The law is clear. Trespassers who cannot prove pack allegiance face death. The boy's thin shoulders shook. He was crying silently, and something in Nothing's chest twisted painfully. She knew that terror, that helplessness. How many times had she knelt like that, waiting for punishment for crimes she hadn't committed? Please, the boy whispered, his voice cracking. I was only hungry. My pack. They're all dead. The plague took them. I have nowhere. Silence! Roderick backhanded the boy, sending him sprawling. Crimson Ridge shows no mercy to the packless. Nothing's hands clenched beneath her patched cloak. The boy was alone, starving, orphaned, and they would kill him for taking a rabbit. Her wolf weak and suppressed, though it was from years of abuse stirred with unusual agitation. As Roderick raised his ceremonial blade, the crowd pressed forward eagerly. They loved executions, loved the reminder that they were better than someone, anyone. Nothing found herself moving too, not forward but sideways, slipping through the crowd like smoke. She didn't know what she intended to do. She had no power, no voice, no right to speak, power. But when Roderick's blade began its descent, her body moved without thought. Wait! The word tore from her throat as she flung herself onto the platform, covering the boy with her own body. The blade stopped inches from her neck. The courtyard fell silent, hundreds of eyes turning to stare at the Omega, who had dared to speak, dared to interfere. Roderick's face turned purple with rage. You dare! That's when the howls began. The howls grew louder, primal and commanding, echoing from the mountain passes. Every wolf in the courtyard froze, their heads turning toward the sound. Nothing had heard dominant wolves howl before, but this was different. These carried an authority that made her wolf want to bare its throat in submission, even from a distance. The Alpha King. Someone whispered, and fear rippled through the crowd like wildfire. Roderick's blade trembled in his hand. Impossible. He wasn't supposed to arrive until the courtyard gates exploded open. Not from force but from the sheer presence of the wolves that entered. They moved like living shadows, their forms massive and intimidating. At their center walked a man who made every other alpha nothing had ever seen look like pups playing at dominance. Alpha King Kael Nightbane stood nearly 7 feet tall, his midnight black hair falling past his shoulders, golden eyes scanning the crowd with predatory assessment. Power radiated from him in waves that made weaker wolves whimper, and strong ones struggle not to kneel. He wore no crown, needed no symbols of authority. His presence alone commanded absolute obedience. Nothing kept her body covering the boy, though every instinct screamed at her to submit, to disappear, to become invisible as she'd learned to do. But if she moved now, Roderick would kill the pup out of spite before the Alpha King could intervene. Alpha Roderick? Kael's voice was deep as thunder, controlled but with danger lurking beneath. I arrived to find you conducting an execution. Of a pup, no less. Roderick straightened, trying to project confidence he clearly didn't feel. My king, this rogue trespassed on Crimson Ridge territory. The law states— I know the law, Kael interrupted, stepping onto the platform. His movement was fluid, predatory. I also know the law requires 3 witnesses to confirm trespass, a formal trial, and notification to neighboring packs in case the accused has allegiances. We followed procedure, Roderick lied. Kael's eyes narrowed. Did you? Then you won't mind showing me the documentation. As Roderick stammered, Nothing felt the boy trembling beneath her. She dared to raise her head slightly, meeting the pup's terrified brown eyes. Stay quiet, quote. She breathed, so low only he could hear. Stay still. And what is this? Kael's attention suddenly shifted, and Nothing's blood turned to ice as those golden eyes fixed on her. The Pack Omega interfered with the execution, my king, Roderick said quickly, eager to deflect attention. She should be punished severely for such insolence. She's nothing literally. A nameless cur we keep out of pity. Kael moved closer, and Nothing's wolf did something unexpected. Instead of cowering, it stirred with interest, almost reaching toward him. She crushed the sensation down, keeping her head bowed. Look at me, the Alpha King commanded. She couldn't disobey a direct order from the Alpha King. Slowly, Nothing raised her head, her hood falling back to reveal matted silver-white hair and eyes the color of winter storms. The moment their gazes met, the world shifted. Kael's entire body went rigid. His golden eyes blazed brighter, and a growl not of anger but of recognition rumbled from his chest. The sound made every wolf in the courtyard step back. Your name, he demanded, but his voice had changed, become deeper, more primal. Nothing's voice cracked. I have no name, Alpha King. I am nothing. Who did this? The fury in his voice made the platform boards crack beneath his feet. Who denied you a name? Roderick's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. She's Pack-born Omega, my king. Her parents were traitors who— I asked who denied her a name. Kael's voice dropped to a lethal whisper. Not for excuses. I did. Roderick finally admitted, lifting his chin. As is my right as Alpha. She carries tainted blood. Nothing remained frozen, still shielding the boy. No one had ever questioned her namelessness before. It was simply how things had been since she was 3 winters old, when her parents were executed for supposedly conspiring with rogues. Release the pup, Kael commanded. When Roderick hesitated, the Alpha King's power flooded the courtyard, driving every wolf to their knees except Nothing, who was already kneeling. Now, the boy scrambled away from the platform, disappearing into the crowd. Nothing started to follow, but Kael's hand caught her arm. His touch sent lightning through her skin, making her wolf surge forward with shocking intensity. You risked your life for a stranger, he said, studying her with those inhuman golden eyes. Why? Nothing whispered. Alone, I know how that feels. Something shifted in Kael's expression, a flicker of emotion quickly suppressed. He turned to his guards. We're taking her. What? Roderick sputtered. You can't simply— Can't I? Kael's smile was all predator. You've abused a wolf under your protection for 20 years, denied her basic rights. I'm invoking royal privilege. He looked back at Nothing. You're coming with me, pied. But I belong to Crimson Ridge. Nothing protested weakly. No one had ever wanted her before. You belong to no one who doesn't value you, Kael said firmly. Then, louder, addressing the pack. From this moment, this wolf is under my protection. Any who harm her will answer to me personally. He guided her off the platform, his hand still on her arm. Nothing's legs shook from fear, exhaustion, and something else she couldn't name. As they walked toward his convoy of black vehicles, she caught sight of Beta Thorn's shocked face, of other pack members who'd tormented her for years, staring in disbelief. Get in, Kael ordered, opening a car door. His Beta, A scarred wolf named Dex raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Nothing hesitated. Alpha King, I don't understand. Why would you? Because, he said, and for a moment his controlled mask slipped, revealing something raw and desperate beneath. I've been searching for you for 15 years. The words made no sense. She'd never left Crimson Ridge territory, never met him before. But her wolf recognized something in his scent, pine and storm and wild places, familiar yet impossible. The drive to the northern palace took 3 hours through winding mountain roads. Nothing huddled in the corner of the luxurious vehicle, overwhelmed by the soft leather seats and warm air. She'd never been in a car before. Omegas walked or ran in wolf form if the pack needed them somewhere quickly. Kael sat across from her, his presence filling the space. He hadn't stopped watching her, his golden eyes tracking every movement, every breath. It should have terrified her. Instead, her wolf felt safe, protected. For the first time in 20 years, you'll need to be examined by healers, he said suddenly. Fed properly, clothed, his jaw clenched. How long since you've eaten? Nothing tried to remember. 2 days, Alpha King, maybe 3. The growl that erupted from him made the driver swerve slightly. Call me Kael, and you'll never hunger again. The northern palace was carved directly into the mountainside, a magnificent structure of black stone and gleaming silver that seemed to grow from the rock itself. Waterfalls cascaded beside towering spires, and bridges of moonstone connected different sections over bottomless chasms. Your Majesty, an elderly woman bowed as they entered. We've prepared the guest wing as requested. No, Kael said sharply. The room next to mine. The woman's sage, the palace healer raised both eyebrows but nodded. Of course, and the young lady will need everything, Kael interrupted. Clothing, food, medical attention. Treat her as you would treat me. Nothing wanted to protest such extravagance, but exhaustion was pulling at her bones. The adrenaline that had carried her through the morning was fading, leaving her aware of every bruise, every old injury that had never properly healed. The room they led her to was bigger than the entire Omega quarters at Crimson Ridge. A massive bed dominated one wall, covered in midnight blue silks and silver furs. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a valley she couldn't name, and a fireplace already crackled with warmth. Quote, "This can't be for me," she whispered. "Everything here is yours," Kael said from the doorway. His presence filled the frame, making the large entrance seem small. Pause. Sage will examine you. Eat whatever she brings. Sleep. Tomorrow we'll discuss everything. But as he turned to leave, Nothing's wolf actually whined at the thought of him going. She'd been alone her entire life, and now the thought of this stranger leaving made her chest ache. He paused, tension rippling through his shoulders. "Rest," he said without looking back. "You're safe now." Sage's examination was gentle but thorough. The elderly healer's expression grew increasingly grim as she catalogued old breaks, scars, evidence of prolonged starvation. "Child," she said softly, "what did they do to you?" "Nothing more than what a nameless Omega deserves." Nothing replied automatically. "No one deserves this," Sage said fiercely. "No one." After a bath, her first hot bath in memory, and a meal of soup and bread that tasted like heaven, Nothing found herself alone. The bed was too soft, too warm. She'd slept on stone floors for 20 years. This felt wrong, dangerous, like a dream that would shatter if she relaxed too much. She curled up on the floor beside the bed instead, wrapped in one of the smaller furs. Her wolf was restless, pacing in her mind, drawn to something she couldn't understand. The Alpha King's scent lingered in the air. He'd been in this room recently, many times. Sleep came fitfully, bringing strange dreams. She was running through moonlit forests, not in fear, but in joy. Someone ran beside her, a massive black wolf with golden eyes. They were hunting together, playing, and she felt complete in a way she never had before. She woke to pain. It started in her chest, a burning sensation, like someone had pressed hot iron to her heart. Nothing gasped, clutching at her ribs, and that's when she saw him. Kael stood in her doorway, but something was wrong. His eyes were pure gold, no trace of humanity in them. His chest heaved with labored breaths, and his hands gripped the doorframe so hard the wood splintered. Shouldn't be here, he growled, but his voice was more wolf than man. Can't control. Nothing scrambled backward, but her wolf surged forward, recognizing something in his struggle. Alpha King? Kael, he snarled. Just Kael. Always just Kael to you. He took a step into the room, then another, moving like he was fighting against invisible chains. You're sent. Can't. God, you don't understand what you are. Stay back. Nothing whispered, but her wolf was doing the opposite, pulling her toward him with frightening intensity. What's happening to you? Kael fell to his knees, his transformation beginning, claws extending, bones shifting. True mate, he gasped out. You're my true mate. Known since I caught your scent at Crimson Ridge. But you don't. You can't feel it yet. Too weak, too suppressed, true mate. Nothing had heard the term in whispered stories. Wolves destined by the moon goddess herself to be together, two halves of one soul. But it was legend, myth, and she was nothing, nobody. How could she be anyone's mate, let alone the Alpha King's? That's impossible, she breathed. Your parents, Kael forced out through gritted teeth, fighting his wolf for control. They didn't betray anyone. They tried to bring you to me. You were, promised to me, born under the same moon, same hour. The oracle confirmed it when you were born. Nothing's world tilted. What? Roderick knew. He killed them, kept you, broke you, so you could never challenge his claim to Crimson Ridge. Kael's transformation reversed slightly as he spoke, anchoring himself with truth. Your real name. Your parents named you Lyra Moonweaver, last of the Silver Wolf bloodline, Lyra. She had a name. After 20 years, she had a name. Silver wolves are myths, she protested weakly. Look at your hair, Kael managed. Your eyes during the full moon. Why do you think Roderick feared you so much? Silver wolves are kingmakers, queenmakers, the strongest bloodline in our history, and you're the last. Tears streamed down her face. If all this is true, why didn't you come sooner? Roderick told everyone you died with your parents. I've searched every pack, every territory. Today was inspection, but I came for him to punish him for other crimes. Finding you. His control slipped again, golden eyes blazing. My wolf wants to claim you. Now, but you're too weak, too hurt, it would kill you. The burning in her chest intensified, and suddenly, Lyra understood. She could feel it now, a gossamer thread connecting her soul to his, weak but undeniable. Her wolf recognized its other half, and was screaming to complete the bond. Get out! She gasped, as her own control started slipping. Please, before we do something that can't be undone. But Kael was already moving. Not away but toward her, drawn by instincts older than civilization. Can't, he growled. 15 years of searching, my wolf won't let you go again. He reached for her, and the moment his hand touched her face, the world exploded. Power, raw, ancient, magnificent surged between them. Lyra's wolf, suppressed for 2 decades, roared to life. She could feel her eyes shifting to silver, could feel strength she'd never known, flooding her veins. No, Kael jerked back, horror replacing desire. Too much. You're not ready. Your body can't. But it was too late. The bond had started forming, incomplete but undeniable. Lyra convulsed as 20 years of suppression shattered at once. Her wolf was trying to emerge, but her body, weakened by years of abuse, couldn't handle the transformation. She heard Kael roar for Sage, felt him gather her into his arms, his warmth the only thing anchoring her to consciousness. Stay with me, he commanded. Lyra, stay with me. Lyra, her name, she was somebody, she was his. Darkness claimed her as her body began the impossible task of becoming what it had always meant to be. Lyra woke to arguments, voices raised in anger beyond her door. You could have killed her, Sage's voice, uncharacteristically sharp. 20 years of suppression can't be undone in a moment. I know. Kael's response was raw, self-loathing. My wolf. I couldn't control it. Her scent, Her presence. We've waited so long. And you'll wait longer if she dies from your impatience. Lyra tried to sit up, gasping at the strange sensations coursing through her body. Everything felt different, sharper, clearer, more. She could hear heartbeats 3 rooms away, smell emotions in the air, feel the moon's position, though it was midday. The door burst open. Kael stood there, his face haggard, dark circles under his golden eyes. "You're awake. What did you do to me?" Her voice came out stronger than expected, with an undertone of power that hadn't existed before. Quote, "I started something I shouldn't have," he said, not entering the room. "The mate bond. It's partially formed now. Your wolf is awakening after 20 years of dormancy. Your body is trying to become what it should have been all along. I feel like I'm burning from the inside. That's your silver wolf heritage activating. It should have happened gradually, through your teenage years. Instead," he ran a hand through his hair. "I'm staying away. No contact until you stabilize." But even as he spoke, Lyra felt the pull an invisible rope trying to drag her toward him. Her wolf whined at the thought of separation. For how long? As long as it takes. Days passed in agony. Lyra discovered that partial mate bonds were torture. She could feel Kael's emotions, his guilt, his desire, his iron control keeping him away. Her body alternated between fever and chills, between human and something else entirely. Sage tended her with herbs and ancient remedies, but nothing eased the ache of incompletion. "Just let him visit," Lyra pleaded on the 3rd day. "Absolutely not," Sage said firmly. "Your wolf is imprinting on his. If he comes near you now, neither of you will be able to resist finishing the bond. And in your current state, a full mating would shatter your body completely." But knowing Kael was just rooms away, feeling his parallel suffering through their connection, was its own kind of torture. Lyra found herself pacing at night, drawn to the wall that separated their chambers. Sometimes she could hear him on the other side, his breathing ragged, his control fraying. On the 5th night, she couldn't stand it anymore. Her wolf was stronger now, strong enough to attempt transformation. The shift was agony, bones breaking and reforming, skin tearing and healing. But when it was done, a silver wolf stood where Lyra had been. Not the common gray or brown of normal wolves, but pure moonlight silver, with eyes like liquid mercury. She slipped from her room, padding through marble halls on silent paws. Her wolf knew exactly where to go, following a scent trail that sang to her very soul. She found him on a balcony overlooking the valley, human in form but radiating wolf energy. Lyra. He didn't turn, but she could see his hands gripping the stone balustrade. "You shouldn't be here." She shifted back, not caring that the transformation left her in only a thin nightgown. "I can't do this. The separation. It hurts. It hurts me too," he admitted, finally facing her. His control was visibly fraying, eyes flickering between human gold and wolf. "But Sage is right. You're not ready. Your first full moon is in a week. If we can wait until then..." "A week?" Lyra's voice broke. "I can barely survive 5 days. "You're stronger than you know," Kael said, but he was stepping closer, drawn by the same invisible force pulling at her. "You survived 20 years of torture. You protected that pup knowing it could mean your death. You're the strongest wolf I've ever known." "I don't feel strong," she whispered. "I feel broken." "Never broken," he said fiercely. "Bent, perhaps. Tested, but not broken. Never broken." The peace shattered at dawn. Alpha King. Dex burst into the great hall where Kael held morning council. "Crimson Ridge is here. Alpha Roderick demands the return of his Omega." Lyra, who'd been sitting quietly in the corner trying to learn court protocols, went rigid. She'd almost forgotten that legally, she still belonged to Crimson Ridge. Without a formal transfer or mating, Roderick had every right to demand her return. Kael rose slowly from his throne, power radiating from every line of his body. "He dares come here?" "He brings the Council of Alphas," Dex said grimly. 5 other pack leaders. They're citing ancient law, no wolf can be taken from their birth pack without formal proceedings. "I won't go back," Lyra whispered, her newfound strength evaporating. I can't. "You won't," Kael promised, his voice lethal. Bring them to the throne room. All of them. The procession that entered was meant to intimidate. 6 alphas in full ceremonial dress, their combined power making the air thick and oppressive. Roderick led them, his silver beard freshly groomed, wearing the crimson cloak of his station. Alpha King. Roderick bowed mockingly. We come for the return of stolen property. Property? Kael's voice was dangerously soft. Wolves are not property. Omegas are. Alpha Brennan of Iron Peak interjected. By ancient law, they belong to their pack until mated or formally transferred. You've done neither. She was being abused, disciplined, Roderick corrected. As is an alpha's right, with packless omegas. Her parents were traitors. She bears tainted blood. The fact that I let her live at all was mercy. Lyra felt rage her own and Kael's through their partial bond. But also, calculation. Roderick had brought witnesses, turned this into a legal matter. If Kael simply refused, it could spark war between packs. I challenge the claim of tainted blood, a new voice said. Elder Kain, the oldest wolf in the Northern Territory, entered, leaning on a carved staff. I knew the Moonweavers. They were no traitors. Every the Siomaris. You have proof? Alpha Brennan asked. I have this. Kain produced an aged scroll. A contract, signed by Roderick himself, agreeing to the fostering of young Lyra Moonweaver until her 18th year. When she would be transferred to the Northern Pack to fulfill a mating contract with the then Prince Kael. The throne room went silent. That's forged, Roderick sputtered. Is it? Kain smiled coldly. Shall we test it? Blood magic doesn't lie. We can verify your signature easily enough. Even if it's real, Alpha Tessa of Nightfall Pack said slowly. She's past 18 now. The contract is void. Not if it was prevented by illegal means. Kael stood, descending from his throne. Roderick, you told everyone she died. You denied her a name. You broke a blood contract. These are crimes punishable by death. You can't prove. Actually, Beta Thorn stepped from behind the other alphas. I can. Everyone turned to stare at Roderick's own Beta. I've served Crimson Ridge for 40 years, Thorn said, not meeting Roderick's eyes. I've done terrible things in that service. Power and documents. Documents, proof of the Moonweaver's innocence. Proof that Roderick killed them to prevent the mating contract. He pulled a leather journal from his coat. It's all here. All here. It's all here. All here. You betray me? Roderick snarled. You betrayed your pack first, Thorn replied. The Silver Wolves were meant to bring prosperity to all packs. You destroyed that for personal gain. Lies! Roderick's control snapped. He began to shift, his wolf emerging in rage. But before he could complete the transformation, Lyra moved. Her own shift was liquid silver moonlight, faster than anyone expected from a newly awakened wolf. She struck Roderick mid-transformation, her jaws closing around his throat, not killing, but holding. Submit, her wolf commanded through pure dominance. And to everyone's shock, Roderick's wolf did. The submission lasted only seconds before Roderick twisted away, completing his shift into a massive russet wolf. But those seconds had been enough. Everyone had seen an allegedly weak Omega force an Alpha to submit. Silver Wolf, someone whispered. She's really a Silver Wolf. Power. Roderick attacked with the fury of humiliation. But Lyra's wolf moved like liquid mercury, dodging and striking with precision that should have taken years to develop. Her heritage was awakening fully now, centuries of genetic memory flooding through her. Enough! Kael's command shook the throne room. His own transformation was instantaneous, a massive black wolf larger than any other present. He placed himself between Lyra and Roderick. Challenge me if you dare, Roderick, but know that harming my mate means death. She's not your mate yet, Roderick said, shifting back to human form, blood dripping from where Lyra's fangs had pierced. And the council hasn't ruled, the council will rule now, Elder Kain interrupted. All in favor of validating the original contract? 4 hands rose immediately. Only Alpha Brennan hesitated. She's untrained, Brennan said. A Silver Wolf's power without control could destroy packs. The old bloodlines were feared for a reason. Then I'll train her? a woman's voice rang out. The temperature in the room dropped as Queen Selene of the Winter Court entered. Kael's mother was legendary, the last trained silver wolf before Lyra, though her bloodline was diluted. Her white hair gleamed like fresh snow, and her presence made even the alphas step back. "Mother," Kael said, surprise evident. "You think I wouldn't come when I heard a pure silver wolf had been found?" Selene approached Lyra, who had shifted back and was trying to cover herself with borrowed robes. "Child, you have no idea what you are, do you?" Quote, "I'm learning, Your Majesty. Please, call me Selene. We're family, after all. Or will be, once my son stops being an idiot and completes the bond." She shot Kael a pointed look. "The full moon, Paulus, is tomorrow night," Selene interrupted. "And this partial bond is killing you both. I can feel it from here." She turned to the assembled alphas. "The contract stands. The girl belongs here. Anyone who disagrees can challenge me personally." No one moved. "Furthermore," Selene continued, "Roderick Grimfang is hereby stripped of his alpha status for crimes against the Silver Wolf bloodline. Beta Thorn, you'll serve as interim alpha until Crimson Ridge can elect a new leader." "You can't," Roderick began. Selene's power flooded the room, bringing every wolf to their knees except Kael and Lyra. "I am Queen Mother of the Northern Realm, last recognized silver wolf until today, and keeper of the old laws." "Yes, Roderick, I absolutely can." But Roderick had one last card to play. As the alphas began to disperse, he pulled something from his cloak, a vial of viscous black liquid, pies, wolfsbane concentrate. He smiled madly. "If I can't have her, no one can." He threw it at Lyra. Time slowed. Kael roared, diving toward her. Selene raised her hands, power crackling. But Lyra's wolf reacted on pure instinct. Silver light exploded from her, a shield of pure moon energy that vaporized the poison before it could touch her. The backlash sent Roderick flying into the stone wall with a sickening crack. He slumped, unconscious but breathing. "Impossible," Alpha Brennan breathed. "That level of power, without training." "She's not just a silver wolf," Selene said quietly, awe in her voice. "She's an alpha silver wolf, the first in 300 years. Lyra swayed, the effort having drained her. Kael caught her before she could fall, and the moment their skin touched, electricity arced between them. The partial bond flared, demanding completion. "Tomorrow," Kael growled, his control hanging by a thread. "Full moon tomorrow," tired. But tomorrow never came as planned. Lyra woke in the healing chamber, her body on fire. Not the gentle burn of transformation, or the ache of the incomplete bond. This was agony, every nerve screaming, poison. Sage's voice was grim. "Not wolfsbane. Something else. It was on Roderick's claws when you fought. A backup plan. But the shield protected you from the vial, yes. But he'd coated his claws before shifting. It's in your bloodstream now." Kael was there, his hand gripping hers so tightly it should have hurt. Through their bond, she could feel his terror, his rage, his desperate need to fix this. "What kind of poison?" he demanded. "Something ancient, predates our healing knowledge." Sage looked exhausted, she'd clearly been working for hours. "It's attacking her wolf directly, trying to sever the connection between human and wolf spirit. That would kill her," Selene said from the doorway. "Yes," Sage confirmed quietly. "No." Kael's denial was absolute. "There has to be something. The full moon is tonight. If we complete the bond..." "It could accelerate the poison," Sage interrupted. "Or the bond might be strong enough to burn it out. We don't know." "I know," Lyra whispered. They all turned to her. "I can feel it. My wolf. She's fighting, but she's losing. If we don't complete the bond tonight, I won't survive anyway." "Lyra, I was nobody for 20 years," she continued, meeting Kael's agonized gaze. "These past days, I've been somebody. Your mate. Even if it's only for one night, I want to be completely yours." Kael's control shattered. He pulled her against him, burying his face in her hair. "You were always somebody," he said fiercely. "Always. From the moment you threw yourself over that pup, I knew exactly who you were. The bravest, most selfless wolf I'd ever seen." "The moon rises in 3 hours," Celine said softly. We should prepare. The preparation was ancient ritual mixed with desperate hope. They dressed Lyra in traditional silver robes that had belonged to Celine's grandmother. Kael wore black, the contrast deliberate shadow and moonlight, darkness and illumination. The sacred grove was deep in the mountains, a circle of ancient pines surrounding a crystalline pool that reflected the night sky. The full moon was rising, casting everything in ethereal light. Are you sure? Kael asked one final time. They stood at the pool's edge, the pack arranged in witness circles around them. P2. I've never been more sure of anything, Lyra replied. Even if this kills me, I'll die as myself. As Lyra Moonweaver, mate to Kael Nightbane, silver wolf of the northern realm. The ceremony began with the ancient words, spoken by Elder Cain in the old tongue. But as the moon reached its apex, Lyra convulsed. The poison was fighting the ritual, trying to tear her wolf away just as the bond sought to merge two souls. She screamed, falling to her knees. Black veins spread across her skin like twisted vines. Fight it, Kael commanded, his own power wrapping around her. Fight, Lyra. Your wolf is stronger than any poison. But she was losing. She could feel her wolf spirit being pulled away, separated from her human side. Soon, she would be neither human nor wolf, just empty flesh, dying under the moon that should have blessed their union. I'm sorry, she gasped. Kael, I'm so sorry. Kael. No, he snarled. And then he did something forbidden. He began the claiming bite before the ceremony was complete, sinking his fangs into the junction of her neck and shoulder. The pack gasped. To claim outside the ritual was dangerous for both parties. But as Kael's fangs pierced her skin, something extraordinary happened. Poison. The claiming bite should have been the end, either completing their bond or killing them both. Instead, Kael absorbed the poison into himself. Lyra felt it happening through their connection, the black corruption, leaving her body and entering his. He was using the incomplete bond as a conduit, pulling her poison into his own bloodstream. No. She tried to pull away, but his jaw locked, holding her in place as more and more of the poison transferred. Kael, stop. It'll kill you. He released her only when the last trace of poison had left her system. Then he collapsed, his body convulsing as the concentrated toxin attacked his wolf. Claude. My king. Dex rushed forward, but Celine held him back. Don't touch him. The poison is pure now, undiluted. Contact could spread it. Lyra crawled to Kael's writhing form, tears streaming down her face. Why? She sobbed. Why would you do that? His eyes flickered open, already glazing with pain. 20 years, he managed. You suffered alone for 20 years. Couldn't let you suffer alone. Again. There has to be something. Lyra turned desperately to Sage. Some cure, some remedy. Only one, Celine said quietly. But it's never been attempted. Tell me. A true silver wolf's blood, freely given under the full moon, might neutralize the poison. But Lyra, you're newly awakened, Perseid. The amount of blood required could drain you completely. Then we do it. You could die. We'll both die if we don't. Lyra's wolf surged forward, her eyes blazing silver. He's my mate, my other half. I won't let him go. Without waiting for permission, Lyra shifted partially, just her claws extending. She slashed deep across her wrist, deeper than ceremonial cuts, deep enough that blood poured freely. Drink, she commanded, pressing the wound to Kael's lips. At first, nothing happened. Then his wolf instincts kicked in, and he drank deeply. The blood glowed silver as it passed from her to him, carrying her power, her essence, her very life force. The black veins on his skin began to recede, but Lyra was weakening, her vision blurred, her body swaying. Enough! Sage tried to intervene. Come say. No, Lyra held on. Not until he's healed, not until... She felt the moment the poison broke, shattering under the onslaught of silver wolf blood. Kael's eyes snapped open, fully golden and clear. He saw her pallor, the blood still flowing, and reacted instantly. His own fangs pierced his wrist, and he pressed it to her mouth. Drink, he commanded with alpha authority. Complete the circle. The exchange of blood under the full moon, freely given by both parties, It was the oldest mating ritual, predating all ceremonies and traditions. As Lyra drank, she felt their souls merging completely. Not just the partial bond anymore, but total unity. Power exploded from them, silver and shadow intertwining. The pack fell to their knees as ancient magic filled the grove. The pool began to glow. The trees sang with wind that touched nothing else, and overhead, the moon itself seemed to pulse brighter. When it ended, Lyra and Kael knelt facing each other, breathing hard. The claiming marks on both their necks glowed briefly silver, before fading to sacred scars. Mine, Kael breathed. Yours, Lyra confirmed. Then, with a smile that transformed her face, and you're mine. Always, he agreed, pulling her into his arms. The completed bond changed everything. Lyra woke the morning, after the claiming to find she could sense every wolf in the northern palace. Their emotions, their loyalties, their strengths and weaknesses. All of it flowed through her awareness like water. It's the silver wolf gift, Celine explained, sitting beside her bed. You're not just Kael's mate now. You're the Northern Queen, and silver wolves are natural pack leaders. Every wolf in the realm will feel drawn to you, person. It's overwhelming, Lyra admitted, pressing her palms to her temples. It will be, at first, but watch try focusing on just one wolf, Dex, for instance. Lyra concentrated, and suddenly she could sense Kael's beta clearly. He was in the training grounds, sparring with younger wolves, teaching them patience alongside strength. His loyalty to Kael was absolute, but underneath, she sensed his worry about whether she was strong enough to stand beside their king. He doubts me, she said. Then show him he's wrong. Celine smiled. Show them all. The first test came sooner than expected. A delegation from the Southern Territories arrived that afternoon, wolves who'd heard about the Silver Wolf's awakening and came to challenge its truth. Prove it, Alpha Stark demanded rudely, barely acknowledging Lyra's presence beside Kael's throne. Anyone can claim Silver Wolf heritage. Show us the power. Kael started to rise, fury radiating from him at the disrespect, but Lyra touched his hand gently. May I? She asked. His eyes widened slightly, but he nodded, settling back. Lyra stood slowly, descending from the throne with fluid grace. She'd been nobody for so long that commanding presence should have been foreign to her. But the completed bond had awakened something primal, something that had always existed but been suppressed. You want proof? Her voice carried new authority, making even seasoned alphas straighten instinctively. Very well. She shifted not into her wolf form, but into something between. It was a partial transformation that should have been impossible for a newly awakened wolf. Her hair became liquid silver, her eyes blazed with moonlight, and power radiated from her in visible waves. Every wolf in the throne room dropped to their knees, unable to resist the compulsion of a true silver wolf's presence. Is this proof enough? She asked softly. But she wasn't done. Lifting her hand, she called on abilities she somehow knew she possessed. Silver light gathered in her palm, then shot upward, spreading across the throne room's ceiling like stars. Each point of light connected to a wolf below, showing the bonds between pack members, the web of loyalty and connection that held them together. Quote, I can see all of you, she said, her voice echoing with otherworldly power. Your fears, your hopes, your secrets. Alpha Stark, you came here not to challenge me but because your own mate is dying from a wasting disease. You hope the Silver Wolf's power might save her. Stark's face went white. How could you? Because this is what silver wolves do. Lyra let the power fade, returning to her human form. We see the pack as a whole. We heal what's broken. We strengthen what's weak. She climbed back to her throne, settling beside Kael with newfound confidence. Bring your mate tomorrow. I'll see what can be done. Just like that? Stark asked, stunned. Even after I disrespected you? Whoa. Just like that, Lyra confirmed. Because that's what queens do. We put the pack before pride. After the delegation left, Kael pulled her into a fierce embrace. You are magnificent, he murmured against her hair. I've never seen anyone command a room like that. I was nobody yesterday. No, he pulled back to meet her eyes. You were never nobody. You were always this powerful, compassionate, extraordinary. They just tried to bury it. All we did was let you bloom. That night, Lyra discovered another aspect of the completed bond. She could share consciousness with Kael completely, not just emotions but thoughts, memories, experiences. As they lay together, she saw his past. The young prince told his true mate existed somewhere, searching every pack gathering, every territory. She felt his despair when Roderick reported her death, the way something in him had broken and never quite healed, until he'd seen her defending that pup. I knew, he whispered in the darkness. The moment you stood up, I knew. My wolf went insane. It was all I could do not to claim you right there in that courtyard. The coronation took place on the winter solstice, 3 months after the claiming. Lyra stood before a gathering of every pack in the realm, wearing a gown of silver silk that seemed to capture moonlight itself. A crown of intertwined silver and black metal moonstone and obsidian rested on her head. Beside her, Kael wore its match. Today, Elder Cain announced, we witnessed something not seen for 3 centuries. A true silver wolf queen, bonded to our Alpha King. The old prophecies speak of such a pairing, that it would herald a new age of prosperity for all packs. Lyra could feel the truth of it through her gift. The packs were already stronger. Her ability to sense discord and heal rifts had prevented 3 territorial disputes. Her power had cured mysterious illnesses that plagued several packs. Even Crimson Ridge, under Thorn's new leadership, was thriving. Do you accept this responsibility? Cain asked formally. Will you serve not just the northern pack, but all wolves who seek your wisdom? I will, Lyra replied, her voice carrying to every corner of the great courtyard. Then, kneel. She knelt, and Cain placed his ancient hands on her head. By the power of the first wolves, by the blessing of the moon herself, I name you Lyra Nightbane, Silver Wolf Queen of the Northern Realm, healer of packs, keeper of bonds. Power rushed through her at the formal recognition, not painful this time, but warm and welcoming, like coming home. When she rose, every wolf in attendance howled in celebration. The sound echoed through the mountains, carrying for miles, announcing to the world that the silver wolves had returned. Later at the feast, Lyra found herself standing on a balcony overlooking the celebration. Wolves from every pack mingled below, old enemies sharing drinks, ancient feuds being set aside. It was exactly what she'd seen in her visions, unity through understanding. Regrets? Kael asked, joining her. How could I regret this? She gestured to the scene below. 6 months ago, I was sleeping on stone floors, believing I deserved nothing more. Now, now you're exactly where you always belonged, he finished. My equal, my queen, my mate. She turned to face him fully. That morning at Crimson Ridge, when I threw myself over that pup, did you really know? Or did you just hope? I knew, he said simply. My wolf knew. It's why I couldn't stay away those 5 days, even though I tried. Why I kept coming to your room at night. That was real? Lyra's eyes widened. I thought I was dreaming. He had the grace to look embarrassed. I couldn't help myself. The partial bond was driving me mad. Just being near you, watching you sleep. It was the only thing that kept my wolf calm. And now? Now, he pulled her against him. My wolf is at peace, complete. For the first time in my life, I'm whole. A commotion in the courtyard below drew their attention. A young wolf, barely more than a pup, was being pushed forward by his packmates. He looked terrified. What's happening? Lyra asked. Kael smiled. The pup shifted forms clumsily, then looked up at the balcony. Queen Lyra! He called out, his voice cracking. I have no wolf name. My pack says I'm too weak, too small. They call me Runt. Will you? Could you? Lyra's heart clenched. She knew exactly how he felt. Without hesitation, she vaulted over the balcony, landing gracefully in the courtyard below. The crowd parted as she approached the trembling pup. She knelt before him, placing her hands on his thin shoulders. Her silver wolf sight activated, and she saw not weakness, but untapped potential, a healer's gift, like sages, waiting to bloom. Your name, she said loud enough for all to hear, is Felix Heartmender. You will train with Sage as a healer. Your size is not weakness, it allows you to move quickly between wounded and battle. Your gentle nature is not failure, it's exactly what wounded wolves need. The pup Felix stared at her with tears streaming down his face. I have a name, he whispered. I have a purpose. Everyone has a name, Lyra stood, addressing the crowd. Everyone has worth. In this realm, under our rule, no wolf will ever be denied their identity. No wolf will ever be called nothing. The cheer that rose shook the very foundations of the palace. Later, as the celebration continued into the night, Kael found Lyra, surrounded by young wolves, all clamoring to hear the story of the nameless Omega who became a queen. Tell us again about standing up to Alpha Roderick, one begged. Were you really scared? Another asked. I was terrified, Lyra admitted. But sometimes the right thing to do is also the scariest. As she told her story, their story, Kael felt their bond pulse with contentment. They had found each other against impossible odds, survived what should have killed them, and emerged stronger than either could have been alone. The prophecy Cain had mentioned spoke of the Silver Wolf Queen bringing a new age of prosperity. But watching Lyra with the young wolves, seeing how she gave hope to the hopeless and names to the nameless, Kael knew the truth. She wasn't just bringing prosperity. She was bringing revolution, a fundamental change in how packs treated their most vulnerable members. And he would stand beside her through all of it, his darkness balancing her light, his strength supporting her compassion. My queen, he murmured through their bond. My king, she replied without looking up, her mental voice full of love and laughter. My mate, my home. As the moon rose full and bright above them, blessing their union once more, Lyra reflected on the journey that had brought her here. From nothing to everything, from nameless to named, from nobody to queen, power. But most importantly, from alone to loved. She was Lyra Nightbane, Silver Wolf Queen, Mate to the Alpha King. And she was finally, truly, completely whole.